It's a rare disease impacting the lives of several thousand Americans. And while the overall U.S. population affected by it is small, for the families dealing with this condition, the implications are large indeed. Part 2 of our continuing series on hereditary ATTR continues. Christopher Cox reports from Boston.
It's rare, debilitating, and it's a fatal disease that runs in families with no known cure. Its name, hereditary ATTR Amyloidosis. We're here in Boston on the banks of the historic Charles River to meet with two very special women impacted by this disease, to hear their stories and their hopes, and how it's impacting them, their lives, and their families.
The day after I turned 44, I got my feet out of bed, and I noticed as I put my feet on the floor that my feet began to tingle as if, they had fallen asleep. And I thought, oh, this will just go away. And throughout the day, it did not. And I tried to dismiss it. Well, I did a lot of walking, and I had bad shoes. 3 days later, the tingling started in my hands. And I remember calling Christina, and we had been talking, and I said, I think this may have started. And she's like, well, you better get to the doctor now.
Dawn and Christina knew what those symptoms meant. Bloodlines for this disease run deep in the family. Very close third cousins represent the 5th generation. Christina's 2 siblings are also positive for the gene mutation.
You're both familiar with the family genealogy chart. Has that graphic been helpful for you both in understanding and communicating the disease?
For me, it's something I can also take to the doctors as proof that this isn't something to be dismissed. This is something that occurs every generation, and the 50-50 chance of this recessive gene plays itself out just in every generation. And for me personally, it seems like every 10 years someone in our family is affected and dies. And it wasn't until Christina's side of the family, where it was your dad and your aunt, that there was more hope. They caught it so early that there was a chance of life and it wasn't a death sentence.
So for me, the chart, it's kind of hard to see so many generations affected and so many families. And, but yeah, a little bit hopeful to see that within these generations, people are starting to live. There are new treatment options. Things are happening for us.
ATTR is, of course, a familial disease that afflicts through the generations. Patients and their family members become familiar with the symptoms, and younger patients that experience the disease are familiar with those symptoms, leading to an earlier approach to doctors and an earlier diagnosis.
Dawn, you tested positive for the disease nearly a decade before symptoms began showing up. Tell us about that.
The genetic confirmation shows that there might be the luck of the draw. It's a 50-50 chance of developing the disease. However, our family history, especially speaking back to that chart, shows that it's more than likely that you will develop the disease. And I got tested watching my mother really go down a very dark path, and we struggled for answers, and I wanted to have answers ahead of time. So getting that genetically diagnosed early meant I had time to prepare.
For Dawn, it's the little things in life that matter most. Prior to her symptoms, the stay-at-home mom loved biking, something she can no longer do.
Trying to find joy in maybe it's the smaller things, not making it so big. Originally, my active lifestyle came from a therapeutic angle when I was a caregiver for my mom. So now just making sure I get walks with my children, walking them to school, going with them on a bike ride, going on a hike, just getting outdoors. Right now, climbing 3 flights of stairs is not an issue. I hope it doesn't ever become an issue. So I can, but getting on my bike with the kids, there's good days and bad days. They'll ask me, Mommy, can we go on a bike ride? Not today, Mommy's hands or Mommy's feet really hurt. Can we do something else? And my son asked me, Mom, can you do martial arts with me? Maybe when your hands are better. I said, sure.
Dawn, you described Christina as a woman of quiet strength. You had a little bit of sass in there too. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
I feel like you're the sister I never had, and being able to share this journey with her and it not be so gloomy. We can make, dark jokes about, what we want at our funeral and laugh. So it elevates a very sad situation, and I feel like I have someone to be with me who understands it at a deeper level.
Absolutely.
Health discussions also play a big role at Christina's home.
So I do keep my children very informed as to what's going on. We include them in everything because they are old enough to understand. I think it's important that they understand their future, how it's going to pan out. My daughter Anna, who is 17, has symptoms that could be amyloid. We do not know for certain. She is gene positive. She has had neuropathy for 3 years. It has spread from her feet to her hands, and now she has some autonomic neuropathy as well. With her being gene tested, it's very hard to discern what is amyloid because the biomarkers, it's very difficult to determine.
At such a young age.
And at such a young age. It's out of the norm, and it makes it just very difficult.
Their journeys often bring them here to Boston, where they meet with doctors to discuss next steps and possibilities. For now, the only treatment option for early-stage disease is liver transplantation. While treatment is currently limited to supportive care, there's always tomorrow.
The message we'd like to convey to families with ATTR is that there's hope. We and others in the academic institutions and biotech industry are developing important new medicines to help families. And we think and we hope that these treatments will be available soon, changing the lives of patients afflicted with this terrible disease.
For inspiration, Dawn often looks to a letter her mother wrote to her upon graduating from high school.
My dearest Dawn, you've just passed an important milestone in your life, graduation from high school. I've tried my best to give you all the tools
you might need to get through all the impasses life throws at you. I know even if I had another lifetime, I'd probably not cover giving all the knowledge it's going to take to get through. You know one thing, I'll always be there for you if you need me. I hope I've taught you to stand straight and tall, face your fears with courage and strength. The morning star in the sky is the limit for you, my sweet, and I will always be the wind
beneath your wings to help you soar. Always and lovingly, Mama.
I hope that this diagnosis doesn't mean an end of the road for someone, that it's a journey, that you get to sidestep it and move on in your life rather than it being a tailspin, and it shouldn't be a destruction of a family. And now there are more options and that create hope. Absolutely.
I don't think I could say it any better than that. It's hope that for the future that we can move forward, that technology and research will continue on, medical treatments, so that we can eventually have a normal life and eradicate this disease and stop the generations from dying off.
Christina and Dawn also have hope for what the future may hold. And in the meantime, they carry on.
Thanks so much to our guests for sharing this information on hereditary ATTR. Again, there are a number of ways a patient can get diagnosed. For more information on a free screening program, go to ttrscreen.com.